Welcome, everyone. How's the energy in the room after lunch? That was a good lunch. I would like to welcome both in person and our virtual audience for this session, Gen Z and Beyond, Cultivating Future Leaders in Data. How many of you currently use some sort of framework to build and nurture your data teams? Just one, maybe two, okay? So in this session, you will discover a cool framework and case study to build and nurture your data teams. Before I introduce the speaker, a few housekeeping details. This session is being recorded, and it will be made available part of your symposium proceedings. There will be Q&A at the end. Live audience, raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone over to you. Virtual audience, please enter your questions via Whova. Now I would like to introduce Sara Jones from SAIC. Sara and I, we both are from sunny San Diego. Sara is a Deputy Chief Data Officer at SAIC, and she has held other roles prior to SAIC. She launched data governance program at SAIC, and she is actually developing and driving data strategies to ensure tangible business value across the organization. She is also pursuing her PhD in information quality, so she is a PhD candidate. Welcome, Sara. We're allowed to hear about the framework.
Thank you. I think this is on. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Like we said after lunch, I saved my cupcake, so that's my reward after this. So I hope you're all doing well. This topic is very important to me and to the field of data. In developing our next generation of data professionals, I imagine many of you have been mentored along in your career, and it's time to pay it forward. So I'm excited to share with you the program that we at SAIC put together and the journey we took within this area. And we grew our team from 4 seasoned professionals in data to about 60 employees now. And a third of those, I can say, are early career, between 0 and 3 years of industry experience. So thanks again for being here. A little bit about me. I apologize for the picture, but it is quite old, so it's grainy. That's about all I had. I started my career in IT in software quality, specifically in software testing, test engineering. I spent a majority of my career at SAIC, which is a government contractor. The good thing about that is in a contractor role, get to see many different types of programs, work with many different types of folks. So I've been able to gain a lot of experience in data and testing. I'm currently working on my PhD. And as you'll hear our story with SAIC and the creation of a chief data office, I was lucky enough to be part of that organization and start the first corporate data governance office at SAIC. And currently I am the director for the first data products corporate organization at SAIC. So let me talk to you a little bit about our journey. So with the Open Data Act of 2018, which many of you may be aware of, it stated the government offices shall have a chief data office. Being a government contractor, SAIC, we followed suit, knowing that we needed to care for our data, but we should also follow suit with the governments. And so SAIC created a corporate chief data office. We began with that journey, but we only had 4 people. As I said, we had, between about 3 of us, we had about 20 years of experience, and we were lucky enough to hire a well-known data person, Justin Magruder, who's here and one of the track leads as our chief data officer. So we had a new chief data office, we had 4 people, and we had to figure out how to get this team going with very little funding, and we hadn't proved that we had the business value of a chief data office. So what we did is within the team, we thought, okay, let's look into the recent college graduates. What can they bring to us, and how can we bring them into the organization? But you think about recent grads, they probably want the big organizations, maybe the Amazons, the Facebooks, and we were a government contractor. So what did we have to offer? But what we had done is we had created a data strategy. So when we went to interview, we could really lay forth what our data strategy was and paint this vision on how these folks coming from the universities could help us implement that data strategy. And that was really our first step. In every interview, we sat down and we spent a lot of time talking about our strategy and got the teams, employees excited about working at SAIC. This is one of our current recent grads, Max. So I have some great photos of the team here. So go to the next slide. Okay, so what would this program provide to our future leaders? Why would they want to come work with us? As I said, when we interviewed them, we explained to them, hey, you're in a ground floor chief data office. We can provide you with opportunities to be exposed to and to contribute in all parts of a chief data office. Like I said, we had just started. We had the chief data officer who knew much about data and the folks with the business knowledge on SAIC. And so we felt that we could use these folks in many different areas, from data governance to data science to data management to data engineering. And then on the CDO side, we realized, wow, we have so much business knowledge, but we haven't been in school for many years. Data science, some of the new coding and new technologies, but we could leverage that and work together. So that was our purpose for the Futures and Leaders Data Program, in addition to the cost component there. So a few benefits of the program. We realized that academic perspective that these students would bring to our organization, the idea of getting an assignment and getting it finished. We often joke that when we give it to some folks who have been in the industry for such a long time, we spend so much time talking about it. And so that was really a great way that we worked with the teams, is we gave them many assignments with certain deadlines, and they were able to produce that. Also, the diverse backgrounds and fresh perspectives. So this was happening during COVID. So we were fortunate enough to hire around the country, many different universities, which was fantastic. So we have folks from San Diego, Virginia, Florida, Ohio, all over the country. But again, they were all remote. And many of them, their first job. So we had to work through that and deal with that. And I can talk through some of that with you as well. But it just brought the many different viewpoints of that whole country view, the view of the nation of the different industries. Some of the other benefits that we realized is we talked a lot about how we could mentor the future leaders in data, but they're also mentoring us. And we did a lot of reverse mentoring that we're working on now, even where we have one of our future leaders giving Python classes every Friday to some of our more senior, or actually to the whole staff. But it's just a great way to give them, empower them with some of that reverse mentoring. I talked about the speed of delivery as another benefit to that program. And we've been doing this program now for 2 years, and so I have a couple of folks here with us today who are running a booth. And so they are working with us here, and they're also starting to mentor some of the recent interns that we have. So they're leading programs with us now. So I'm gonna just jump here. So when we started the program, I wanted something that was corporate wide. I didn't want this to be a narrow, something that we were just doing in the chief data office. So we looked at what our corporate values were, and we started there. So at SAIC, we have these 5 corporate values: passion, innovation, inclusion, integrity, and empowerment. And we wanted to run this program based on our corporate values: passion, loving what you do. And so this framework starts with holding hackathons for our teams. So I'm going to kind of go through that in a little bit. Innovation, we do competitions within the teams. Inclusion, we do what's called block plans. So block plans are, in the corporate industry, we may send employees to go work with BD or finance or HR in a plan in a block of about 4 weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 4 months, just depends on the situation. And we do what we call reverse block plans, where we bring people in from the function to learn about the chief data office, and we feel that's a really good partnership as well. Integrity, we had leaders that were supporting this program. Without our leaders that would take the time to mentor these recent graduates, this would not be a success. So we really took the time. We were very honest with ourselves that this is not an easy thing. It's not fast, it's not quick. We have 20 plus years of experience in the organization. We have people with 20 plus years in data. It takes a long time to help bring this up to speed. So we did have some great focus leaders. And then empowerment, we do a lot of rotations. So I'll go through those as well. Rotations through report building, through data governance, through master data management, through data cataloging. And we let the teams decide what they liked and where they really rose to the top and where they were really shining. And so we'll talk a little bit about those rotations as well. Okay, so the hackathons. So what we did, here's a group of us in Virginia. We did conducted some hackathons where we exposed the FLIDs, that's what our name for them is, the future leaders in data, to critical data problems for which our CDO really had a passion to find a solution, but we didn't have the time to really focus in on it. So we set forth with this group. We had a couple hackathons that we've done. One, we had them develop some visualizations for our diversity program. And they just came up with different views on what may be important or things, data facets that we should be looking at. And additionally, they also did a comparison of a graph versus relational databases. The thing here is in both instances, we had more seasoned leaders leading each of the teams. And then they presented that, and they presented the results of their hackathon to our CEO and to our chief operating officer. So they really got some good, not only did they get to travel, and this was soon after COVID, they were able to then present in front of some senior leaders. So again, a lot of it is we had the support of our senior leadership to be doing this type of program. The next thing we did, which I'm really proud of the team, is we had a few competitions. One they entered was actually for the state of Virginia, the CDO Datathon. We had a group of staff that early careers that entered the competition, and they took first place, and it was awesome. And there's like, I don't know how many people entered, maybe 50, but they took first place, they presented it, they created an algorithm for food insecurity for the state of Virginia. And then internally, at the SAIC, oftentimes we have business unit challenges, and a group of folks entered that competition, and they took runner-up. Out of all of SAIC, they took a runner-up, which was great for early career. So we really encourage internal competitions, external competitions within this program. I talked briefly about the block plans. Again, it's really where we expose the future leaders into different aspects of the business. So a lot of these folks that we're hiring are coming with degrees in business, computer science, data science. They don't have a lot of the business knowledge. And that's where we see that the business leaders, the more seasoned employees, can help them understand the business. And so we do these block plans, and they come back into the data office understanding the data a little bit more, but most importantly, understanding perhaps the lack of business processes or the business processes that seem really archaic to them, which may seem normal to folks who've been doing it for such a long time. And so they're able to highlight those kind of issues. We also had many of the future leaders work with our solution architects in some of the more emerging technologies in data. We did have also where we've had some folks from the business areas, Justin and I and many people within the team, we've built the relationships with many of the VPs and SVPs within the company, and we've made relationships to give the future leaders opportunity to work in those different divisions under their leadership. I talked about how it was really important to have, focused leaders who are helping out in the program. Within the Chief Data Office, we had about 25 leaders that were really important part of the program. And they spent hundreds of hours mentoring the team. We had one gentleman who developed a visualization boot camp, 8 hours of doing visualizations with Power BI, recorded those, and it did a certification on that. We had folks in the business analysis area who spent hours with these, with the employees working on the business knowledge and the business logic that the data takes and teaching them the business of a government contractor. Like I said, we had mentors for each of the hackathons that spent their time helping the employees through that hackathon. Justin has forums, the Chief Data Officer, Shark Tank talks, always available for the team to reach out to us. Additionally, we did career discussions with each of our team members to see where they wanted to go. And I'll show you the rotational program that we had after that, where each of the employees could talk about, this interests me, I want to do visualizations, I want to do engineering, whatever it may be. And we had one-on-one conversations with all the employees on that. And then we do the peer mentoring. Like I mentioned, we have even our future leaders that have been in the program for a couple years now mentoring our interns, which is just awesome. It really saves a lot of time, and it gives them experience in leadership. Here's a list of some of the examples of the rotational programs that we conducted. So I can talk a little bit about our rotations, but what we've found is it's not something that is 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. We kind of go with what the employees liking, what they're really excelling at, and where they fit the most. And if they don't feel like they need to go to a rotation, we don't necessarily do that. So it's very fluid. Here's a list of a few of the rotational programs. We really felt that report writing was probably the easiest, lowest bar to entry, where folks could get in and start providing a tangible output, feeling that they were adding value to the organization. The other area that I have on here, the third one down, is data governance. And coming from Chief Data Officer and other folks in the organization who had implemented data governance offices, we really needed a lot of boots on the ground to help us get the office up and running, get processes and procedures written. So we really used just about every future leader to help us with some data governance. Not only that, they understood the importance of governance as they went on to the more engineering type roles. So it's been really good. We've rotated folks into data architecture. We're standing up a cloud native data platform, and we were able to have these folks help there. And at this point, a few of them are leading some of the programs and some of the work there, so it's been fantastic. We've had about 50 rotations with all of the group. Here's a picture of the team at, I think it's a Databricks conference. So like I said, we've been fortunate enough to allow the folks to travel and get together and bond, and we've really heard that that's been a very powerful part of the program for them as well. I wanted to just show you this graph. This is, I know it's quite hard to read, but you can see the line there. On the left is when we started the program, and you can see that this is the amount of assignments we've given our future leaders in data. So you can see over time, that peak is where we are now. I just have extra quarter there. But you can see that over time, we're starting to give them more work, more important work that helps us meet our objectives and key results. They're part of our team delivering valuable work. So just wanted to show that graph. And then the next one here is, if you're familiar with Azure DevOps or Agile framework of epic features and stories and tasks, what you see off to the left is the type of work that we've been able to give to the future leaders in data. You can see that they've got a lot of blue, which is a lot of stories they're working on. And this is just growing over the course of the year. And then the green is everything that they've closed and they've completed for us, and just the different kind of rotational areas. It'll be interesting to see this graph in the next year because we're doing a lot of transformative work with our new Databricks environment. So that's that. So we do have a few lessons learned. So for the hackathons, some of the things that really helped is to plan the hackathons, or you just will forget to do them, or you won't do them, or you'll get too busy. So they should be planned on a schedule. Also, as we talked about with deadlines, really run the hackathon similar to a request for proposal, request for quote, so that you get a quick return. It doesn't have to be perfect, but let's see what's going on and what they're in their heads. The competitions, we really need to seek out the opportunities for the competitions. There's a lot out on the internet I'm sure you all know about. Just look for those proactively. In the block plans, really building those relationships with the outside organizations, your peers in the organizations, talk to them about what you're trying to do with the program, and really assign it to those groups that need help with data. And there's a lot of groups and organizations that need help with data. And you can use that stewardship for the training. The interns that go out into those business lines can train the folks how to do self-service reports, can tell them a little bit about data and be your champion as well. Here's another picture of the team, probably Databricks conference, I think. On the focused leadership, I think really what's really important, and I know my team can attest for that, is to have honest conversations with the more seasoned leaders and the subject matter experts about the time commitment and the vision. It's not a 1-hour event and you're done. It's going to take some time, and there's going to be turnover. And that was another thing that we did encounter. I wanted to say, I wrote down, we've had about 4 folks turnover, but 3 of them remained internal to our company, which is great because we're training these folks up in data and they're going out to other parts of our company. And it's also difficult for one person to manage all of the future leaders. So it's been great as we're maturing and growing. We have future leaders that are now helping to manage our interns, but it's very difficult for one person to do it all. And then also working with the train-the-trainer approach, where we have the interns working now under our future leaders. But I can't stress enough the time commitment and having the honest conversations with some of the future leaders and or with the more seasoned folks on the time commitment. And turnover is always a risk. So, so that's all I have for the presentation. So I think if there's any questions, yeah.
Great tactics. Questions from the audience?
Okay. Hi, I have a question for the new employees. And what makes you stay?
So I'll go first and then so. All right, I'm gonna stand up. Hi everyone, my name's Ahmed. I've been with SAIC for almost 3 years. So your question of what makes us stay is the fact that our leaders give us the opportunity to learn consistently. That's what's allowing us to stay longer, and the ability to have constant growth. And also the ability to empower us, which is much needed, and especially when you're fresh coming out from college into a workplace environment. It's very much, intimidating by your peers when they know a lot, and you're kind of like, whoa, what are you saying? So them empowering us and letting us learn and be with a lot of the subject matter experts, and them being very reciprocative, us being reciprocative to it, is the best part.
Hello, my name is Esma. I agree with everything Ahmed said. I also would add that getting face-to-face time with Justin and Sara and everyone really helps. I feel like I'm getting the best knowledge I could get directly from the source. And also the block plans, where we get to kind of choose the path that we'd like to go into and, learn from all these different things and learn what you would like when you wouldn't otherwise experience it, is really helpful.
Great question.
Do you have anything to add?
No,
Okay.
I shouldn't. I will say one thing. Yeah.
I'm going to put Lisa on the spot.
Yeah.
Some of our management team were skeptical about the time commitment, and I think Sara highlighted that, and I wonder if Lisa has any thoughts you could share.
It's definitely an investment. There's no doubt about it. But what we have found is that because the group is so enthusiastic, we've been able to really embrace them as part of our organization. And yes, it takes a lot of time, and there is a limit, to Sarah's point, on the number of people you can have at one time. At this point, I think my organization is the business analysis, and we have a total of 12 people, 5 of which are seasoned, 2 are kind of intermediate, and the rest are all new folks. And they're doing everything from basic report writing, which is what Sara mentioned, and most of them are actually moving into more data analysis and modeling as well. So that's going to give them another opportunity to maybe jump over to a different side of the organization, whether it's engineering, data governance. But it's definitely been worthwhile. And yes, I was skeptical, but very happy with how it's turned out.
Seems like a great investment in people.
I like the idea of reverse mentoring, and you gave an example of like a Python class, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Does the newer folks decide what like the curriculum for that would be? And then like reverse mentoring, I was thinking maybe it's like potentially one-on-one versus like a group setting.
Oh, sure.
Is it mostly like classes? I'm just curious because I love that concept. And I was wondering like how we could potentially apply it.
Right. So this first one that we're doing, it is group. It's a group session where we do Zoom on Fridays. And yes, our early career ran the curriculum. When he graduated from college, he was a TA for a Python class, so it was perfect. It's right up his alley. He enjoys it. He likes to talk. He likes to teach. I was taking one of my PhD classes. It was Intro to Tools. And every morning he would text me, how's Python going? How's Python going? It's like, so that gave me the idea. It's like we should be doing this. And he loves to teach. So did that answer your question? So, and we need to look at for other opportunities too and pull the teams on what they would like to teach. So I know Daniel, who runs our data architecture, has been training folks up on our new platform of Databricks and data build tool and DBT, and the early careers are some of the first to learn it, and I think they're going to probably jump in and help teach that. So.
2 questions.
Sure.
One, as a percentage of the total company's data and analytical workers, approximately what percentage is this program, whether they're new to the program or experienced? And then the second question, are these primarily bachelor's graduates, masters, where do we fit in that spectrum?
Right. That's a really good question. I would expect from a data conference. Unfortunately, I don't have the corporate numbers, but like I said, within our chief data office, we have about a third of the staff is recent grads, 0 to 3 years. And then your second question about mostly all bachelor's degrees. We do have one master's degree. We have one veteran who is still going to school, so we do have the internship program as well. So we have a few veterans. We've hired a few veterans who went through the GI Bill at a school, finished their degree, and we've hired them as well. Does that answer your question? Yes, okay.
Any other questions?
And the degrees are from all over, from business to data science to...
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. A slight flavor on his question. I missed how many people you said you had in your data office total.
We have about 60.
60?
And about 20 of them are early career.
Okay. And how big is SAIC?
26,000.
26,000. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to follow up on the kind of credential question. So have you all discussed or have you considered how degrees are becoming less of a requirement for data backgrounds? And, just your thoughts on that.
We have, working for a government contractor, there are regulations that we mostly follow. So we do mostly require degrees.
And Sara is pursuing her PhD in information quality.
we have, I don't know, 3, 4 PhDs within the organization, so a very academic group.
Any other questions? Yes.
So My recollection, though, is there's a recent executive order around that, or maybe it's like guidance from, I can't remember, General Services or something like that around data, because they are trying to widen the ability to bring in that expertise
Sure.
through both mechanisms, through the government itself, I'm a Fed, but also probably through the contracting mechanism.
Yeah. Well, I need to look into that and talk to our compensation, talent acquisition.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending the session. Another round of applause for Sarah Jones. Thank you.